Hello, I'm Mark Ells, Barnstable Town Manager, and this is my community update. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about water quality, especially during our summer months, and some of the closures that we see occur. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about fertilizer regulations that we have and use that as a reminder that we do have these in place, and we should make sure that we think about fertilization, certainly during these growing seasons. But first, very often during this time of year, you'll get an alert relevant to a closure of a beach, saltwater or freshwater. More often now, we're seeing also alerts relevant to cyanobacteria in ponds, which is a different type of concern. Certainly a water quality concern, but a different type of concern that would have us alerting our public to the impacts of that. Back to the beaches. So very often, as we move into the warm months, we'll see that a beach is closed. And what we do is we regularly sample all of our bathing beaches in town so that we know whether there's any public health concerns. A closure can be caused by something as simple as a rainfall event that washes something from the parking lot or the beach into the water. It can be waterfowl that are in the area, because this is bacteria, this is nature and natural, but when it exceeds a certain level under state regulation, we need to post a closure until it tests below that level. A lot of people jump right to septic systems. When we see single day or a few day closures, we really don't necessarily jump to any conclusion at that point, because it can be anything. That it could be a activity in the water that introduced that opportunity for nature to put that bacteria there, and therefore an exceedance. So if we start to see multiple day, like four or more, we really start to investigate whether there's some other potential source that's causing it, and therefore do we need to take a greater action than just wait for nature to cleanse itself. So you'll see that, but this other issue of this other issue of cyanobacteria that we see in the water is a whole different thing in our ponds and lakes. It's always been there. It's not something that's new, but we are seeing more frequent occurrences of it. We are sampling for it in a series of ponds in town every other week during the months where we might see this occur. And then if we get a hit of it, we go to weekly. And then depending on what we're finding, we're posting alerts relevant to it. So keep a close eye on that. It naturally occurs. It can be weather and temperature dependent that might trigger it. It can be nutrient related that could trigger it. And so, but again, everybody seems to be jumping because of, rightfully the focus on wastewater, and the fact that we have Title V, on-site Title V systems that really don't remove a lot of nutrients, and so they want to jump to that conclusion that it must be a septic system. That's not always the case. So it takes a little investigation on our part, and in most cases, nature corrects itself. If we don't continue whatever the source of or whatever the cause is. Now, we do have a fertilizer regulation on the books that really gives the do's and don'ts to our residents about how to apply fertilizer and what the impacts might be, certainly, and there are penalties, but I'm not here to talk to you about that. I'm really here to give you a reminder that you need to be mindful. We live in a very sensitive environment. We have water bodies all around us, and what we do on the land impacts those water bodies and those water resources. Fertilizer is one of them. So if you have to fertilize your lawn, let's say, you know, make sure that you're knowledgeable in it. It just isn't going down to the local store and buying bags of fertilizer and putting them out whenever so that you can have a greener lawn. You really need to think about it. If you can, work with a professional to make sure that the way you're doing it is appropriate. And don't be fooled that because it says organic, that means that protects you from this issue, because it doesn't. It just means you're not using synthetic products. The load of nutrients is still what's impacting these water bodies, whether it's organic or synthetic. So back to the fertilizers. You need to think about when you apply it, where you apply it, and what's in the fertilizer. Certainly be mindful that in salt water, nitrogen is a limiting factor, meaning you need to be concerned about it. In fresh water, phosphorus. So you need to really look at these fertilizers and make sure that you know what you're putting down. Make sure that you know that you only put down enough to achieve what you're trying to achieve, and make sure that you don't put it down before rain falls or on impervious surfaces like driveways or near drains that go into the water body, because all of this impacts water quality. And right now we're going to put out a reminder to all of our residents. I'm doing this community update, but it's a critical time right now. We're moving into a little bit more dormant season. Certainly May, June, and July are times when we would be fertilizing. You definitely shouldn't be fertilizing off-season, late summer into the spring, for a whole bunch of reasons. You don't need it. So first of all, and secondly, as you move towards spring, you got a lot of rain, and it's going to run right off, and it's going to end up in the water bodies, and it's going to cause problems. So please keep all this in mind. And if you have questions, we're here to try to help you. And if you're looking for the regulation, or if you're looking for more general information about water and water quality, please go to our website, go on Water Resources, and you can pretty much find anything probably that you're looking for relevant to water resources. If you don't, call us, text us, email us, and we'll help you find it. Thank you for listening. Stay well.